All right. Judd'z Budz, episode 128. The Wayne Gretzky plus fan favorite Greg Patterin episode. As always, your host, Spokesman, joined by my
I knew that's the one you were going with.
That is good.
It's a good pull.
As always, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Hoppy, and our other friends that are just as good as Mr. At State of Hoppy. Hoppy, tell everyone where we're at. This is fucking insane.
Over under 3.5 people that just punched a puppy when you said Greg Patterin.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Do people hate
hey,
Greg Patterin
hey,
that much?
wait a minute. Great trade. Great trade.
It was a great trade.
For one season. For one season.
I hate Greg.
We are back. Judd'z Budz, Sota Pod with Sound the Foghorn. We are wrapping up our top 25 prospects within the Minnesota Wild system. That's right, all of Judd'z Budz. Last week, we hit 6 through 10. Recap of that, number 10, Rieger Lorenz. Number 9, Carson Lambos. 8, Daemon Hunt. 7, Hunter Height. 6, Isha's favorite person in the world, apparently, Marat Khusnutdinov.
I didn't get to actually make my case because the internet went out, but that's okay.
No, it was going the wrong direction when your internet went out. You were saved.
The disrespect. The disrespect.
The case was made.
Disrespect at number 6 in the fucking prospect pool, where we
Just
all
saying.
like. I was the one that
Everyone
had to
said
stop
this.
myself after 25.
Not Mr. Disrespect talking about, coming from the guy that put first off at 1. To be funny.
Bro, it's in his fucking name.
Leskovar at 50. Like,
Okay, wait. You've just proven my case. More disrespect. All you guys didn't even have Leskovar higher than what, 30?
What if it was Charlie Firstel? What would he should do?
Sounds like a sexual act that
I just want to say, by the way, before First Off fucked off, a lot of people had him in the top 5, even or top 10, or even top 5 of Wild.
Not a single person did that.
Just saying.
So,
You going? Where are you getting your information?
Let's just
his
continue.
burner accounts.
Good old hockey news.
You posted under the Kalisha account, Isha. God damn
It was hockey news. Okay,
I wasn't gonna say it.
I did. All right.
Well, you mean Seth?
We are at the top 5, the best prospects of the Minnesota Wild prospect pool, as decided by this esteemed group of 6. As we look at it here, we will start with number 5. But again, if you have not listened thus far, definitely go back, check out the past 4 weeks here as we cover 6 through 25. Number 5. Riley Height.
I love Riley.
This is a guy that I think we are all very excited about, and I think, most of the Wild fan base has basically used to justify whatever anger they have towards Charlie Stramel, which we still think is misplaced. Who wants to lead off here, though, on just how much of a fucking stud Riley Height is?
I think
Riley
you should,
Height's
since you have him the
incredible.
highest.
Sure, I'll lead off. Riley Height. This is a guy that, I don't know, I changed my philosophy for ranking throughout this entire process, so I am very bad to follow. There is no rhyme or reason. Riley Height, I see being a guy that could be a first-line player. He is one of very few that I think could project as a first-line player. I don't see him being any worse than a second-line player, and this is a guy that has the most humble confidence in the world. He basically came in and said, I'm going to make the Wild this year. And I just think that what we've seen from him, even though he hasn't played for Team Canada, which I'm personally thrilled about, because fuck Canada. That's right, Isha.
Yeah, the US would have lost last year if he was on the team, but anyways.
This guy's just an absolute fucking gamer. And the fact that he went last in the second round and his teammate, who is arguably comparable to him, went, 17 to the Washington Capitals? Is that correct, Z? Check my work. Tarek Parashak, which again, great player, but this one feels so much better because of how much of a steal it was, especially after Z. I think you had him ranked 29 on your personal list going into that draft. It was somewhere right around that range, kind of the Ryder Ritchie feel, just with no injury. We can't explain why he fell. We're not going to complain. We are fucking thrilled. I am so excited for this guy to come in. And to be honest, he has already stepped in and filled one of my vacated Sun roles. I'm so happy. Riley Heidt, I want to see him really get a chance to make the roster this year. I don't think it's going to happen, but I at least want them to give him every chance to earn it.
Yeah, he was incredible. He's just such a good season. Prince George was a really good team, but he was obviously one of their best players. Just a power play machine, incredible playmaker, scored some pretty goals. I went to mentioned on one of the episodes, I went to day one of the development camp, and he was by far the best player out there. I mean, there was a couple others that looked good, but he was just incredible. His skating, everything, like all his drills were clean. He's just a fun player to watch. I'm super high on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. 117 points. I mean, doesn't matter what league you do that in. That's freaking impressive. I mean, there were stretches where he just seemed like guaranteed for like 3-point games. And then he would like have a night off where he wouldn't score a point and then would come back and score like 5 the next game. Yeah. Like he's insane. He has unbelievable playmaking ability. I think might be the best passer in the prospect pool. It's probably between him and Yurov for that, but I think I lean Height on that. Like there was a highlight, I'm pretty sure I tweeted out at one point, where he's like, I think they're on a power play and he throws a pass like half no look from the corner, like under like 3 sticks and through a pair of skates, like right on the tape to the guy in the back door who like ends up scoring. Like, and it was just like a little like quick look, put it right on his tape. Like he thinks the game so high already, like his IQ and his offense's own ability is all phenomenal. And I think as long as he can fill out and show that he's even like remotely competent defensively, he will find a way to make this team and be a really impactful player, I think, in the top 6 for a long time to come.
Yeah, no, just like you guys said, just a really, really skilled player, ton of fun to watch in a lot of the highlight clips. And I think like, like Hoppy was saying, with the potential for him to even get games in NHL this year. I mean, obviously he'll probably be back in junior, but it's kind of at a point with him with what he's done, even the 3 years he's been there. Like, what else more does he have to prove at that level, really? So I'm with you. I hope he does get a chance, but even if he doesn't, it's just he's just seems like he's pretty much seems to be a lock to be at least like a good second line forward, if at his absolute worst, which is pretty damn good for like you guys said, the last pick of the second round, and just he's great.
Yeah, there isn't to Zeke's point, and Isha, this will probably stem into part of what you probably want to say. This is the perfect example for why we need an exception to the bullshit CHL rules, because I understand why they're in place, partially to protect the CHL, whatever, but there's also a lot of guys that would be rushed up and it would go very poorly for their development. Riley Heidt has nothing more to prove or do at the WHL level. It's not looking the best for him to make the Wild roster. I still think there's a chance, but like this is a guy that can and should be starting in the AHL and have a chance to work his way up to the NHL roster.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, there is nothing for him to prove anymore. Shoot, even in 2022, 2023, you could have said, all right, like, there's nothing much more for you to prove. And to go off of what Brett said as well, like, his IQ is insane. And it's awesome that he was able to play on 2 really good Prince George teams the last 2 years that was able to demonstrate that, because some of those crazy no-look passes, he had guys who were very, very skilled as well, who were able to get involved and read those plays of his as well. And, if he played maybe on a team that didn't have as many skilled guys, then we wouldn't have even seen that, and scouts wouldn't have seen that really either. So it is unfortunate that, like, if he doesn't make the Wild this year, if there isn't a spot for him, if he doesn't force the Minnesota Wild to maybe even make a move to make spots for both him and Öhgren, who have, Öhgren, sorry. Then I saw the message. I edited the podcast. I should have known. Then then yeah, it's unfortunate. And I hope that there's no like complacency that comes into play there if he does have to be sent down to junior. But the one, I guess, positive thing is like he will likely be playing for the World Juniors, which there's something to play for there.
Why is that likely?
Because he's one of the best players for Canada under 20.
Yep, he was that last year too, and it didn't happen. And right now, the brain trust at the Athletics says he will not be part of it.
Well, they've listed him as an extra right now, whatever the fuck
that sounds
means.
Optimistic.
Yeah. So because you can't have the 16-year-old phenom and play over the two returnees, and they should.
I hope he's not there because I'm already going to struggle with Matthew Wood playing for Team Canada, so I don't need any more conflict of interest.
Anyways, he's one of the sickest players I've seen in the WHL in a long time. I grew up in Prince George, so it's always awesome to see like players come out of that program. I mean, I grew up watching freaking Bugard play live as like a kid. I watched Dan Hamhuis play there. Well, I watched Bufflin play there too. So I just love like seeing guys like do well and come out of that Prince George system anyways. And the fact that he's part of the Minnesota Wild system and just an absolute stud who, like Hoppy said, is one of those exceptions who it's like should be playing pro but can't yet because of his age and being part of the CHL. I really, really hope and, kind of lean towards the assumption that, he's going to force Billy Guerin to make a tough decision.
I mean, there's CHL exceptional status. Why can't we have AHL exceptional status?
Yeah, no, I agree. So I like I said, I hope he forces Billy Guerin and co and management to make a tough decision.
Swoon.
Well, before I do that, in my head, it's the idea of I bet there are a total of 0 pro hockey players who would want AHL exceptional player status.
Well, I mean, he's not being paid in the CHL, so I mean, he'd be paid, right?
Jerry Mayhew is foaming at the mouth.
Yeah. In my head, it's very funny where it's like, hey man, AHL exceptional status. They're probably like, fuck off.
Pro exceptional status.
Yeah, you have to, only because it's called A. Yeah, anyways. It is crazy. Again, like we said this a million times, the fact that this kid went last pick in the second round, despite the fact he was top 10 in scoring his draft year, 97 points in the WHL, which like already coming into this past year would have been like, if he puts up 90 points this year, that's also unbelievable.
Because he's 5'11", he's not 6 foot.
Yeah, exactly. He is 4'2". Same thing. But like, and like one of the things that Brett you mentioned was like, even if his defensive game is like just average, he is a good two-way forward. Like that's the thing. Prince George didn't really have to play a lot of defense this year. They were pretty much eviscerating everybody. But this is a kid that like is absolutely on their first PK unit. He plays a really good two-way game, but his offensive ceiling is like top 6 point per game player in the NHL. Again, a guy that played center at the WHL. Whether or not he plays center at the NHL level, we'll see. I think he's probably more likely, given his skill set, to be a playmaking winger that is also an absolute sniper when he chooses to be. This year definitely relied on his playmaking a lot, which worked out quite well.
Relied on his playmaking, but got 37 goals. Like
Exactly.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, like, when he has the puck, you don't really know what to do because do we like make sure he doesn't get the shot off, or do we eliminate his passing options? But just the definition of a dual threat. And I mean, we've all touched on it already, pretty much every aspect of his game. So the last thing I'll say is for Zeke, he plays for the Prince George Cougars. Give us the best Cougar. You have.
Okay.
I don't know if he got top.
Yes. Oh,
a nice deeper roar. I dig it.
Yeah, I can't get that.
No, I liked it.
I think the other thing that like we never really brought up is like in addition to all like the offense, he is also just kind of a pest and a pain in the ass. Like he likes.
He is an asshole to play against. Yeah,
he's a good skater too. No one really mentioned like his skating is awesome.
he likes to get into scrums and mix things up and like kind of like that Eriksson Ek type. Like he's not like necessarily dropping the mitts, but he likes to get in people's faces, kind of piss them off, and then skate away. Like he's just kind of that pesky.
Very fun to watch him score goals at away barns.
Oh yes,
he is. Yeah, no. In the old school WHL, you'd have a lot of fans jumping over the glass to fight him. He is not nice to away fans, and it is.
But like when every other goal that you score or are a part of is a highlight reel goal, you can do that. So
second only to Phil Kessel for away game celebrations. That's still he's my favorite player because of that one celebration, and I'll never get over it. I also love Z's exploitation of the word eviscerating. It's just
it's good.
Every time he says it, I just like light up a little bit. I'm like, oh yes, here we go.
Because we can all just like understand. We can all empathize. Be like, oh yeah, we know what you're talking about.
There's no empathy there, but
that's kind of funny though. I don't know exactly how.
Are we empathizing with the team that's being eviscerated? How often are you eviscerated, Isha?
I don't want to get into it.
He doesn't have help.
We're moving on. All right, that's number 5 in the prospect pool. The 5th of Judd'z Budz. Moving on to number 4 here. We have Isha. Can you pronounce this?
Öhgren. Liam Öhgren.
Very good. Very good. Liam Öhgren. Here we go. And I mean, again, pretty balanced across the board, anywhere from 3 to 5, but Isha is the highest. So what say you about Liam Öhgren?
I just like how he has played pro in AHL, did good, NHL, did good, played pro overseas, did good, and has played well in the World Juniors as well, despite not putting up a lot of points in his last showing there. Like, he clearly showed that he was one of the leaders on the team, and if it wasn't for hitting the post a couple times or being like the first guy to set up the play and create space for some of the guys, he very well could have had a bunch of points in that last tournament. Like I said, he just checks all the boxes. Like, he's still super young, but he's ready for the pros, and he's ready for the pros at the highest level in the National Hockey League, right? He proved he was an awesome player in the SHL, coming off of injury and playing a tremendous year last year. Had a cup of coffee in the AHL, and they were like, oh shit, we got to see what he's made of here in the NHL, because he already looks good in the A. And yeah, just checks all the boxes. I imagine that it's going to be him and Height fighting for that roster spot. And if Riley Height does get it, there is if Billy Guerin and co decide that, like, okay, we have to keep Riley Height up here, it's not the end of the world for Öhgren, because he can play AHL for a little bit until they rearrange the roster and maybe make a move where then he can come back up. It's obviously the easier decision, barring, again, they both have an outstanding training camp, for Öhgren to be the one that they pick. But yeah, I think he's NHL ready. I think he's going to play next year. And even if he plays a little bit AHL, like, he'll probably outplay his time there quickly, and they'll have to bring him back up.
He's going to look really fucking good skating next to Drew Eriksson Ek for like the next 10 years. That's all I can say, is that those two are going to be an absolute, it's going to be horrible to play against those two. And if they get,
what's the three?
If it were me, it'd be Boldy if it were me. But I also think like this would also be a great spot for Riley Height, like someone who can like just park Ek out front and just have Riley Height feed just like perfect saucer passes right to Liam Öhgren's tape, so he can just like bar down it every time. Like, that'd be pretty cool too. But yeah, he made like great shot. I mean, obviously, like, the fitness has been well documented. He's been working out with NHL players since he was like a teenager, like a middle-aged teenager. He's obviously still a teenager, I think.
I was thinking he can also create space like X. So like, you put Boldy in there on that line too, and that's going to be a fucking tough line to play against.
Yeah. Like, if it were me, like, if you want to go back to Kaprizov and Zuccarello, and we're not going to have the debate about Rossi versus Hartman in the middle of them, but I think an Öhgren, Eriksson Ek, and Boldy line would be really, like, actually gives, like, you actually now have two lines that might actually have a chance of scoring versus, I mean, obviously the Boldy, Eriksson Ek, Kaprizov line was arguably the best line in hockey last year, if you look at pretty much any way you slice it. But back to Liam, I think just I think he's top 6 forward on this team for a long time, and he's just going to be, is he going to be a point per game player? I don't know that maybe that's his ceiling, but he's going to be that perfect type. He's going to probably play on the first power play, and he's going to put up goals as long as they get him with someone that can get him the puck.
Yeah, I love that he came in. He plays that great two-way game, but he came in last year and made an impact right away. I think he picked up a 2-point game or whatever. Just you could see it right away. At the development camp, Height was obviously the best skater there when I went, and Liam Öhgren's shot in person is even more incredible than it is seeing it on TV or computer, whatever you want to say. It's just a missile of a shot.
God, I hope they both make the team, man. That would just be so awesome, especially just for the fans as well.
They should, but they won't.
They might. At least we're getting one. Yeah.
I do think it's pretty incredible that out of last year's first round, we got 2 of our top 4 prospects too. That's pretty amazing.
In the 20s.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yet the Wild are bad at drafting.
Wow.
Yes, but Z, I think you said it on draft day. Boldy, Ek, Öhgren, the line of the future.
I think
that's that's one of the just in terms of 2 of those guys we already know. One has Eriksson Ek probably has hit pretty close to the highest expectation you could possibly ask for a guy like him. Boldy is, as far as how old he is more than fulfilled, what you would expect any player to do. He's already there. And a guy like Öhgren, when you just project him out, if he continues to develop and just stay on really the development path that he's been on in terms of his trajectory, that is one of the most well-balanced and terrifying lines you could possibly throw out in today's NHL, where you've got 2 elite defensive forwards, one guy like Boldy that's got elite level skill, playmaking, also a sniper. Joel Eriksson Ek is a guy that's going to challenge for Selkes for the next however many years. And then Öhgren, who is a pure sniper, his two-way game has developed since his draft year tenfold. The idea of that line in the future is terrifying. Is if you're going to just throw any other line out there on the ice against them, you don't really know what exactly to do. What do we take away? You can't. You literally can't take away this whole line. You just can't do it. You have to choose your battles there. But Liam Öhgren, in his draft year, I'll use it again. Eviscerated. There you go. The J20. I think he scored 38 goals in 35 games, and 30 of them were at 5-on-5. Not just in the power play, which was terrifying. And the big knock, or not even the big knock, the question was hey, is this going to be a pure sniper? Because if that's it, if there's nothing else in his game, he's probably not even going to play NHL games, because you can find any just raw sniper in any league in the world. But given his the lineage there, with the fact that he's been training with pro players forever, when he got drafted, he was already he had a pro frame already. So it wasn't a case where it was just he's just been bigger and better than everybody forever. And then you play against guys your age when they are fully developed, and it looks okay, everyone caught up. He's just continued to take steps every year. And it's crazy because they drafted him. And then after the World Juniors that year, because that was the Summer World Junior, the dumbest tournament of all time, he got hurt before the Allsvenskan season. So it was where is Öhgren? Why is he not playing? Then he finally got healthy again, played for Djurgården in the Allsvenskan, and immediately was on their 4th line. Then once he scored a goal, they elevated him to their top 6, and then he was a point per game player the rest of that season. They lost in Game 7 to get promoted. Then he goes and plays for Färjestad this year, also gets hurt in the summer, starts on the 4th line, goes pointless first 2 or 3 games, scores 1 goal, immediately elevated to their top 6, and finished the year probably 6 or 7 points per game.
Yeah, his best
was
year pro.
Absolutely their number one go-to guy anytime they needed offense. Comes over to the NHL, and I mean, I think like 3-4 games, still scored like I think 2 or 3 points in those games.
4 games, 1-1, and I think he had one taken away too.
Yeah, he did. I remember that because I was sick. I would throw up in my mouth. I was in Minnesota when he scored. When I was in Minnesota. I was there. I was at fucking what's it called? I was there. But
St. Paul somewhere.
I think he has projected himself at this point with the trajectory and like how much better he's gotten every year, despite the fact that he's like started every season injured. Like the two-way game has taken 10 steps forward since his draft year, where it's like he's more than proven he's not just a pure sniper. And even the playmaking game has taken a step as well. So I do think at this point he's proven himself to be a dual threat offensively. He's taken a massive step in terms of two-way game. And we know he's got like the attitude of a guy that's not just like, yeah, I'm all about scoring goals. That's all I do. Like he is a pro hockey player. Like he kind of just like when you like, if you were to like create a pro hockey player in a lab, like it kind of looks like Liam Öhgren, where it's just like, yeah, he's like 6'2". He plays a good two-way game. He plays physical. He can score goals, can make plays. Like he just like does whatever you need him to do whenever you throw him over the boards. Like it's pretty much what he looks like. So the fact that he's only getting better is actually terrifying because he's quite a fucking good hockey player already. So sky's the limit for him. And again, just like thinking about a future line of him with Boldy and Eriksson Ek is like, thank God the camera is like it cuts off here. You know what I mean? And thank God some people aren't watching. It's all audio, you know. Here, hands are here.
If I created a hockey player in a lab, he probably wouldn't have as good of a jawline as Liam Öhgren has.
Or hair, to be honest.
Well, and the hair. I mean,
please go off about the hair.
Like the fact that he lit up when I asked him the fan question about how he maintains his hair. He's like, oh yeah, I got
Let me tell you about these products.
He took his sweatshirt off. He was like, all right, I was waiting for someone to ask me.
Do you want to hear something crazy about that, Hoppy? So like I think on it he mentioned about like, I probably only shampoo my hair like I think he said like once a week, maybe twice a week.
Once or twice a week, yeah. I brought up the James Neal aspect too.
I used to do like full shampoo like 3-4 times a week. Since I heard Liam Öhgren say that, I've dropped it down to like twice a week.
Oh no, dude! Growing up, I did it like almost every time I showered because I had long hair and like I sweat. Like even when I'm in like peak physical condition, I sweat thoroughly.
Yeah,
so I'll be sweating right now. I don't know if you guys can tell.
I wash my hair all the time, and of course it proved true. Like it I think it made your hair go away. Like I'm not bald, but like I'm definitely thinned in the front, which is why I bick the hair. But James Neal, he solved the riddle. Just do it every 2 or 3 weeks, and apparently the hair doesn't go away. That was still the craziest thing when he like said that so casually on NHL 36. He's like, oh yeah, I just like don't ever wash my hair. That's why I look so good. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Listen, anyone that follows this hockey team that's still doing more than twice a week shampoo action, please stop following this team. Please stop. That's why the Minnesota Wild haven't won a cup in the last 6 weeks.
Hang on, this is the new game. This is the new game because I've already thought because we got the whole like nerd angle to Fellowship of the Rink. We're probably going to bring Chisholm back on and have him do like the sorting hat for all the players on the team because he's a Harry Potter guy. I need Liam Öhgren to tell me how many times a week he thinks each of his teammates washes their hair based on their hair. That right there would break the internet.
Whoever just like he's like, I bet that guy doesn't shampoo. They get bought out the next day, and it's fucking like.
Well, it's John Merrill. John Merrill hasn't washed his hair, and it's got to be 2 years.
I mean, Kaprizov probably hasn't washed his hair either in a while.
That's fine. He can do whatever he wants.
But then he goes to like Getzlaf. He's like, oh, this guy washes his hair like 3 times a day.
The other thing I liked from that interview that like kind of made my heart ache a little bit in a bad way was how much he looks up to Marcus Johansson.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up earlier, but he might be
I don't know.
JoJo on that line.
I talked about this on
if
my
that's what it takes to get Johansson going, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about this on like the Sota Pod episode with Seth. Like, I understand like people not happy with Johansson, but like just the vitriol and hate I don't get because like he was far from the worst player last year.
LaPanta's fault. LaPanta pumps him up, So we have to break him down.
It's
He
crazy.
got paid
He
for
got
44
so much.
points, you know?
Bro, he got like Goligoski hate last year and like Merrill hate. And it was like, really? Like, guy still got 30 points and he's pretty much been like a 30, 40 point player his whole career. So, like, just
Like, my assessment of him was he was just unbelievably painfully average, which just that's not cut out to play.
He's an average fucking player. Again, we don't have to get into
Just
this.
not a guy cut out to be in your top 6.
Yes,
But
exactly.
they didn't have a choice, really. So,
Yeah.
really.
Again, I didn't get the hate. I didn't understand the hate.
Z, it's not Mojo, right?
Fuck
Jojo.
off. Far be it from me to be this guy. I would put my life savings, which is like $8, on me being the biggest JoJo fan here. But we're 4 hours in. We cannot possibly despart the mark. We can't possibly start this fucking market.
Yeah, let's move on.
We're
Right
done. Liam Öhgren, number 4. We're thrilled. He's
Oh my God, we're only at 4.
Yep. So
Yeah,
now
Well,
Zeev Buium, which no one thought was. I'm going to be honest. I saw a lot of people saying, "Oh, Zeev Buium would be awesome for the Wild to draft," and I know like Micheletti, one of our Mankato contributors for MNCAA, he's like, "Man, if Buium fell there, it'd be so cool." And I was commenting, I'm like, you are high off your ass if you think he's available at 13, which I guess he wasn't available at 13, but 12.
Hey,
I would have said the same thing. Would have said the same
You weren't
fucking
wrong.
thing.
No, you weren't wrong.
Technically not wrong. But Zeev Buium, let's go, boys. We are so happy he's here. Isha's the only one that hates him. Isha, why do you hate Zeev Buium?
I don't hate him. I just like Marat more. That's all.
okay.
But there's 4 spots between him and Marat. So explain further.
1 year college, spectacular year. I need to see more before I fucking go full recency bias like all you guys.
3-year Super League.
Again, I honestly think you guys are a little recency bias, but that's just me.
No, fuck off.
Hey, you're entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong.
Again, I think he's spectacular, and defense is like my favorite position in hockey. I think he's awesome, but there's guys who've played. Wait, stop! Don't interrupt me.
Hughes, but I hate Zeev Buium.
Yeah, because Quinn Hughes is way better and was way better in college. But anyways, again, the guys who I have above him, other than Height, which sure gets the little WHL bump. I'll be perfectly honest there. Other than Height, like all the other guys have proven that they're already like legit in the pro ranks. This guy's played 1 year college. It was an awesome college year. It was his, he was it was his first year college and he played amazing. I get it.
Everyone listening to this nonsense right now on YouTube needs to comment immediately and say whether you think that Isha is off his rocker saying that Quinn Hughes is infinitely better than Zeev Buium. Go.
He is, and he was, and he will always be better.
We will discuss it on the Judd'z Budz episode following this. It's going to be wonderful to hear.
Quinn
people
Hughes is the best skater I've ever seen play hockey, man.
Yeah, in October. I don't know, Isha. It's weird.
Again, maybe I could have given him 5 if I wanted to knock down Riley Height 1 due to the WHL bias, but everybody else above has played as a pro. So like, I'm sorry, like I have to give it to them. And has proven good already as pro. So, and played in better leagues and has played more time in better leagues and has proven to play better in the NHL in some cases as well. So I can't put Zeev above them. I can't. It's like, it goes against everything here.
But like, how many guys have put up like 50 points as a freshman defenseman?
50 fucking points as a true freshman. True freshman.
Second best all-time.
I mean, it doesn't
point
mean he's going to be a great NFL player, but yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
And a plus
I'm just
33
saying,
to boot.
for ranking the guys here, I'm going with the guys who are already doing well in the pro ranks where we project
It's fine.
some of these guys to be.
He's a floor ranker. We're ceiling rankers. It's all right.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what, Isha? The fact that he's from California and his first comment to the press was "fuck oceans, give me Lake Minnetonka."
Elite.
Yeah, I don't know. Being a guy from the West Coast, I don't really like that. But anyways,
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I said it on the draft show when we were live. I said I don't want to jump the gun, but I think there's a very, very, very high chance that he will go down as the best defenseman for sure that the Wild ever drafted and potentially that they've ever had. I mean, I know Brock Faber has been awesome. And,
yeah. I
Then put him higher in your rankings, man.
I just can't because he hasn't played a lick of pro yet,
Yeah.
or even close.
I get it, but I mean, it's just could he? There's a potential. Maybe he goes the Faber route, where after depending when their season's done. I mean, I think their expectation is to probably go back. It should be to go back to the national championship, because when you have him at your blue lines, hard not to be a favorite for that, and all the talent that's still there. So I think there's a chance he plays NHL games next year. I still maintain, despite what others might say, is that he will be on the Wild at the start of the season next year, and it's probably going to be smacked right next to Brock Faber.
Hey, and next summer he'll probably get my number 1 or 2 rank, but right now he ain't getting it, boys.
Fair enough.
All it takes is 3 pro games, and you're like,
But hey, it's something.
I can check the pro box. Here we go.
It's something.
That's
Or
me.
12, or was it 14 like Marat? But anyways,
Yeah.
To be clear, I'm the only person that ranked him number 1, and for me, it's purely because I'm with everything Brett just said. This will be the best defenseman the Wild have ever drafted.
When I started, I had him at 1, and then I bumped him down to 2. But I was really close to having him at 1.
And honestly, the only one here that shocks me is Isha's, which shouldn't shock me because he's American. So whatever. Everyone else is between 1 and 3. I just think that this is the first time the Wild have drafted a guy that truly profiles as a number 1 puck moving defenseman. And him and Faber just makes me salivate. It's crazy thinking about that pairing. Now, I'm not expecting.
Hold on, pause. Can you imagine? It's like 2 minutes left in a tie game, and all of a sudden, over the bench comes Joel Eriksson Ek, Matt Boldy, Liam Öhgren, Zeev Buium, and Brock Faber. You're telling me the game's not getting tied?
hand check everybody.
Bob Motzko would never.
No, that's overtime. That's overtime. I'm talking 2 minutes left.
That's overtime. I'm just so high on the profile of player. The fact that this is a guy that, I don't know, Z, all year we talked about him. He was falling somewhere between 4 and 6 in your rankings, I'm pretty sure. And we've seen what he did this year as a freshman. Obviously, next year we want to see how he continues that. But as a true freshman to put up 50 fucking points in college hockey is psychotic in the second best conference in college hockey. That's wild. And then to go on and win a natty, I don't know what more you need to see unless you're a Canadian.
I'm not comparing with these players, but who else is in the he's the second best points by a defenseman in an NCAA season. 2 of the other 5 are in the top 5. Cale Makar and Adam Fox. So if we can get someone that,
I feel like I didn't hear you correctly there, Baki. Who?
Oh, fuck
Cale
off.
Makar and Adam Fox.
Oh, so no Quinn Hughes?
Wait,
Yeah,
where's
but none of those guys can skate like Quinn, so it doesn't really matter.
But I mean, regardless of you're talking, that's the potential ceiling. Even if he doesn't get there, you're talking about an unbelievably good.
He should be a 60 to 70 point defenseman.
He will not be Cale Makar, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, and I wasn't comparing him to him, but if we can get a even close to that, that's
he
incredible.
could be. The skill set's there.
But,
it's just a question of can he elevate that to the pro level, which is always the question.
I'm just so excited.
But yeah, the pipe dream came true for the second straight time, or not straight time, but
no, Brett is this is probably the only time we've been more excited than the first ever Sota Pod live stream for the draft, where we lost our absolute fucking minds over Marco Rossi.
Yeah, I will say, had I been on the stream when they had Wallstedt, that also would have been probably right in the mix.
That one is more fun because Edmonton was dumb enough to trade down and give him to us. It's almost as bad as the Wild trading back and giving Braden Point to the Lightning because Louis Belpedio was on par.
Honestly, that stream was the most fun because of Montreal's pick and Z's reaction.
That was quite the monologue.
Yeah.
And the interpretive reading. But Z, anything you want to say about just the specimen that is Zeev Buium?
Well, I want to throw it to Zeke because Zeke was the first one to clap back at Isha.
Give it.
Tell him.
And also, Zeke, what noise does a pioneer make?
Okay, stop. Come on.
It's not even.
You can tell all of us to fuck off Zeke, by the way.
noises I make.
I didn't even say it. I just want to give Zeke the mic to clap back at Isha.
Tell Isha how dumb he is, please, because we've all taken our turn.
Okay. Well, okay. I mean, like Justin was saying, the two, whatever you said, like the two other guys who have scored at this rate as a defenseman in college hockey are both, two of the three maybe best defensemen in the NHL.
Norris winning defenseman.
Yeah, literally. And I mean, yes. Now I'll give him this. He had never scored at that rate, I don't think, in junior until this year. But it seems pretty impossible to do that, as a 17, 18-year-old. And you're just getting lucky, pucks bouncing off skates or bouncing off someone's arm in the net after you made a pass, 200 feet back the other way. So, I mean, yeah, sure. Is he maybe, like we've talked about, maybe he's not an absolute total dominant guy in every single facet of the game. But even if his, like Brett was talking about, even if his floor is like a 50-point, guy on as your number 2 or your number 3, that's still a freaking steal at number 12. And like you said, if he's even
okay, 5. I'll give him number 5. I'll knock down Öhgren.
Guys,
Öhgren.
can I just be the first to publicly thank Cutter Goche for making this all reality? I love you, Cutter. Thank you so much. Not only for making an absolute joke of the loser organization Philadelphia Flyers, but then scaring them out of drafting a guy represented by your same agent. I appreciate you so much. And Isha, Macklin Celebrini, he's a good player, right?
Yeah.
How many points do you think he had in college hockey this year?
I want to say around 50. I don't know.
64.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Zeev Buium as a defenseman, true
You
freshman.
guys are making it out for me like you're making it out that like I think this guy's a bad player. I just I value prospects in our system around the same age who are playing pro. That's all I'm going to say. Around the same age.
Not around the same age. He's not.
He's played when he put 40 points up in the KHL when he was the same age.
But Quinn Hughes is sick, right?
Dude, Quinn Hughes put 92 points up this year. He's
We're moving
fucking
on
amazing.
Because Isha's just not going to learn. All right. We just wrapped up number 3 in the prospect pool, Zeev Buium. We've got 2 left here. And at the end of the day, everyone's thrilled about both these players. But
yeah,
the order, I guess, has to be laid out. So number 2, we have Danila Yurov. And oh my goodness, is he a fucking specimen? Pretty much consensus across the board, except Isha, who claims that he prioritizes professional experience, but puts Danila Yurov at 5. I don't quite understand it.
It's because I gave Height 4. It's because I gave Height 4. That's why.
Okay, it's fair.
You gave Height 4. He has
fair.
no pro experience. Got it.
I have already admitted I gave him the little WHL bump.
Man.
Dude, Danila Yurov would be in the NHL this year if there was room for him. Unfortunately, there isn't, so he's going to play one more year pro.
Didn't he want the bonuses or whatever that he was never going to get because he's not going to have? That was
correct. That's part of it too. I think there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, this is a guy, fingers crossed, as all goes well with keeping Kaprizov here. That should be centering Kirill Kaprizov for however much longer Kaprizov is here. Playmaker, but also, like Riley Height, still has that ability to score. I think the fact that this year he made a transition to center and succeeded is incredibly exciting for the organization, despite what it may or may not mean for the future of Marco Rossi, but we're not going to get into that today. We're going to keep things positive. I just think he's a guy to be excited for. There's a ton of skill there. He's a guy that, if Russia hadn't attacked Ukraine in his draft year, probably would have gone a lot higher. But just the geopolitical factors scared teams off him, and the Wild said, fuck it, we ball. We have an extra pick, so we're going to take the upside, and it looks like it's going to pay off in droves for them.
Be clear, everyone, Brett supports Russia invading Ukraine.
No, that is not at all what I said. That's how political reporting goes, though.
That's pretty much it.
That's how it goes.
Well, that was fun.
I don't even think we're allowed to talk about that.
And
on
that's
YouTube, by the
why
way.
he's 3 and he put Buium 2. Fuck.
No, so I just think there's a ton to be excited for, and I think he's a guy that you can probably pencil into, the 1 or 2C not this coming season, but next season.
And I mean, I think he just. Oh, sorry, Justin. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say he just had the best age 20 in KHL history. Led his team in points, led him to a Öhgren Cup. Team's best player.
Do you want to say that again?
What's that?
That he led his team in points.
Led his team in points. Öhgren Cup
I thought you were talking about the cup.
and then a championship.
Yes, and after we bagged last year,
is he 20 yet? I don't even know if he's 20.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 20.
He just turned 20. Yeah, that's insane to do that in a pro league. To lead your team to a championship in scoring, like bonkers.
Yes, after we begged them to give him more minutes last year, which it is the KHL, but I mean, incredible. I want to send
him down to the MHL this year because he's on his last year of his deal.
Maybe. I also want to thank LA for giving us Brock Faber and giving us the pick to take Liam Öhgren to also take a swing on our pick with Yurov. So
how crazy is that?
I think Yurov would have been their pick if they didn't have the other.
He was my crush in that draft. I'm pretty sure.
Off the record,
he was our number one. I
think that'll be my first question to Judd Brackett when we go back to his restaurant: is who would you have taken if you didn't have that pick?
I think they basically said there's the video that the Wild released where it's like, we think Yurov is going to fall, but we don't think Öhgren is, so we're going to take Öhgren and then hope
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they say that on camera and it's published, but I could be wrong.
I saw that too.
That's right.
Because it was at the Snuggerud draft too. Because I think
it was Snuggerud, because Snuggerud was also on their list.
Yeah, I think they had Snuggerud above Öhgren, and then Snuggerud got picked.
Wait, they had Snuggerud above Öhgren? Why wouldn't they have taken Snuggerud in that spot instead of Öhgren then?
Or maybe it was above. I don't know. They also were looking at Snuggerud. I don't remember the context of it. But
I wish that he was here and not in St. Louis, because that's going to make me real sad. Him and Rick Dvorsky are going to torch. Yeah, sorry, inside joke for people that don't know.
It's like Stankoven in Dallas. It's painful to have draft crushes play for the rivals, but it's okay.
Maybe Bankier will lead him here when he's a free agent.
We can dream.
Yep. Yeah.
Zeke, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy, when I watch him play, watch highlights, it just seems like he's kind of got that almost electric step to his skating and to his skill. That's just super exciting. And I think just listening to the way that you hear people from the Wild talk about it, it really seems like this is another guy who is the potential star in their system, not just a night, he's going to be a second line guy, which he might still be, but the fact that they have he's another potential star that they got at 24 or whatever it was is pretty awesome. And like Brett was saying, if he comes in next year right away, and assuming everything goes decent this year and they don't things are looking okay and can slot in with Kaprizov. I mean, obviously it wasn't an accident that they, the Wild began drafting Russians kind of higher in the draft like this. So it's just, just hopefully should be a perfect fit, assuming they can get him over here next year.
Yeah, I went back and forth on him and Buium at 2 and 3. Ultimately, I went with betting on Yurov hitting on the upside. Partly because it's super hard to hit Buium's potential upside as a defenseman. That is unbelievably rare. Mm-hmm. I still kept Buium at 3, obviously, because even if he doesn't hit his absolute upside, his floor is still unbelievably high, where he's going to give you some secondary offense and be a more than reliable defensive defenseman as well. But the thing that really put Yurov over the edge is the fact that he played so much center this year. The plan is for him next year in Russia to play a lot of center again. Whether or not he plays center in the NHL, still up in the air. It's probably still more likely that he ends up as a winger. But the fact that he's able to play both is a big plus. But the thing with him is, even when he does play wing, that's a play driver. Like in his draft year, that was a big question mark. Was like, hey, can he drive offense for more than just himself? Because he's very good at that. He can create scoring chances on his own for him. But this past year, we saw versatile offensive skill set where not only was he setting himself up, but he was also like setting up his teammates and driving offense that way. And like, I think the biggest thing though was the fact that not just last year after he got drafted, but his actual draft year, he got the full KHL treatment. Like Brett, you mentioned the fact that like the Russia-Ukraine thing knocked him down a peg, which is definitely true. But I think another level of the reason he went not top 10 was still the fact that like he got the full KHL treatment where I was like, yeah, you are 18. You're going to come sit on the bench and watch KHL games. We'll let you play like 15 U20 games.
How many comments did you see where people are like, oh, he had like 4 points this year in the KHL. What a loser. And you're
in
just
like 4 minutes played.
I got ahead of that. Every time I said something nice about Yurov, I would tweet his full game log in the KHL where it was like 40 games played, a total of a minute and a half ice time. And it was still like 25 shots on net. I was like, how the fuck do you do that?
The YouTube comments that I sifted through, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. But the fact that like he not only had the Russia-Ukraine thing, which knocked down every Russian that year specifically, but the fact that he barely played pro hockey or any hockey really in his draft year, when coming into his draft year, he was looked at top 8 easy, like no lower than 8. Given the fact that he was a dual threat offensively, he played a lot of center, played a lot of wing, but he is absolutely projectable to be a top 6 forward that's going to put up legit offense, dual threat offensively, and he is a phenomenal defensive forward as well. That's the other thing. Like another guy that has super high offensive upside, but top defensive game as well. So even his B game still projects to be top 6. So the fact that he did what he did this past year is insane, given the fact that he barely played actual hockey for 2 fucking years in 2 of the most important development years in your hockey career. He comes in, finally gets his chance, and immediately takes off, was just under a point per game. It's insane. So that's why the fact that he did that in the KHL, I put him over Buium. If Buium does what he did last year again, it's going to be an even closer call, and we'll see how this year goes for Metalurg. They're going to be fucking nasty again. So I think we can probably expect more of the same from him this year. But just given the fact that Yurov did that in the KHL, which is a top 3 league in the world at this point still, gave him the boost for me over Buium, paired with the fact that like hitting as a defenseman with Buium's profile is like, there's probably 10 guys in the league that do that, but Buium's right around that skill set anyway. So I went back and forth with those 2 at 2 and 3. Either way, the fact that they're both in the Minnesota Wild prospect pool is just
it rocks.
Delicious. So I love it.
Did you say delicious?
Delicious.
Okay.
Delicious. I'm salivating.
That's almost as weird as Isha saying that these guys are outside the top 5, but okay.
Oh my God.
Delicious. Salivating.
Well, hold on. Let's get to this next one then, the final one here. And
who's number 1?
I want to hear why Hoppy hates this number 1.
Yurov. Number 1 in your Minnesota Wild prospect pool is none other than Jesper Wallstedt.
Hoppy, why do you hate him?
Swedish Wall. I love him.
Tell us why you hate him.
I love him. He's inside my top 5, unlike the guys you hate.
Tell us why you hate him. I need to know.
Because goalies are fucking voodoo, man. Let's put it this way. Jesper Wallstedt, I think he is awesome. I was thrilled, as Brett mentioned earlier, that they drafted him. I love his personality. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a goalie through and through, but he's like got the goofy, bubbly personality where he's like almost like a Marc-Andre Fleury. Love his whole Swedish meatball bit. But for me, we won't know for at least 3 more years whether or not he's a true number 1 goalie. I think there's no question that he's at least like a 1B looking at how he projects and profiles. But for me to put him number 1 in the pool over these guys that I think are going to be a number 1 pairing defenseman, first lines, like forward capable, I need to know that he's going to be a 1 or a 1A. And I don't know that yet. Do I think that like ceiling exists? Abso-fucking-lutely. But I am not ready to say that is what he's going to be. He is a guy that's going to be an NHLer, no question. He is not going to be a backup, quote unquote, but 1B is the floor. I want to see what the ceiling is, and that's going to take a couple of years to figure out. That's my stance on why I rated him lower than all of you.
All right, the real reason is he hasn't interviewed him yet. That's why. If you would have interviewed him, then he would be number 1.
Only if he gives me meatballs. That's all.
I'll push back on that specific bit, though. Not bit. You said meatball. I thought bite. I was like, oh, I'm kind of hungry.
I have yet to eat dinner tonight. I'm starving.
Oh, bro. We're almost done. We're almost done, boys.
Boys, are we going?
I haven't had dinner since yesterday. But my pushback on that part is like, so you say he's not a backup. Floor is 1B. You can't put him at number 1 or over like the other guys, at least in your top 3, because you don't know for sure what they're going to be. I don't really know if we can say that we know for sure what any of these guys are going to be. The closest probably is Khusnutdinov because he's played 20 games in the NHL.
Oh, weird.
You know what I mean?
Do not.
wild.
Do not.
Oh, this is amazing.
So kick Isha out.
I am buying all the Kirkland stock possible right now.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have a hell of a night, boys.
Well, that's just like really like that's my pushback.
But it's a goalie. It's a goalie, man.
Right. So let's say they all hit. So let's say all the prospects hit. Right. Let's say everyone in our top 10 hits. Jesper Wallstedt as a goaltender, if he doesn't and he sucks, that automatically takes everyone down a couple of pegs. Because if you can't rely on that guy to make one fucking save. It doesn't matter how many goals a guy like Ritchie or Khusnutdinov or fucking Buium, how he played this year, or Yurov or anyone scores. If you're having to put up like 4 or 5 goals every game, that automatically makes everyone's like job more difficult. So that's why I put him at number 1.
It's like playing for the Edmonton Oilers.
So your argument is that we are stuck. The law is that for the next 10 years, Jesper Wallstedt is one of the Minnesota Wild goalies. Like, that's kind of bullshit.
I'm saying their number.
My biggest thing.
Their ceilings out.
My biggest thing is
ceilings out. Hey, if Buium doesn't hit, fine, whatever. We've got all of our other guys that are forwards as possible. Like, if Wallstedt doesn't hit,
he's more important.
Really,
sure.
You don't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I put him at number 1.
Agreed. I agree that he's the most important. I'm just saying we've seen,
and his ceiling is number 1 goalie, which is the most important position. Realistically,
agreed. I agree.
I think his ceiling's higher. I think his ceiling is like franchise goaltender.
Okay. Well,
we're talking about ceiling. We're talking about ceiling.
Yeah. And my piece
5 years out.
Well, and my
piece
we
can't say that about any player then.
3.
Like you can't say that.
No, I don't agree. I think a lot, at least at the forward position. Defense, I'll hear your argument because it takes longer to adapt. At forward, players don't hit their stride and get their big contract when they're 28 anymore. They get it way earlier.
Our number 6 ranked prospect's Khusnutdinov, and he's like a middle to bottom 6 guy.
Don't tell Isha that.
My biggest thing here, and guys, hear me out. Like goalies, we can all agree that like they take the longest to develop usually. He's 21 years of age and he's already checked all the boxes that you want a goalie that you wait, no, let me finish.
Which historically is extremely uncommon.
Exactly. Whether it was the Swedish Junior League, the Swedish B League, the SHL, AHL. Dude, look at his numbers in the AHL right now, and he was 19 and 20 years old when he put those up,
many
dude.
goalies torched in the AHL, man. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that.
but not at this age. You haven't seen them at this age.
Not saying I don't believe in Jesper Wallstedt.
You haven't seen them torch in the AHL at this age.
A great prospect. He has played, 2 or 3 NHL games. He got fucking lit up in Dallas where he got hung out to dry. Completely understandable. He looked great against the worst fucking team in the league. I do not know what he is. I have nothing to measure him on. That's why he is my number 4 prospect in this pool.
Other than he's the youngest goalie.
And again, my pushback was just literally like, all right, if you're going to say about these guys. But
no, I understand your pushback. I do.
Dude,
it's the goalies versus any other. It's the unpredictability factor for goalies.
So
totally
here's the company that Wallstedt's in. So depending how many games he plays this year, but here's some goalies.
He's not going to play much this year, but
who at the age of 21 played more than 25 games post 2000. Let's see.
More than 25 NHL games?
Yep.
He's not getting there.
In a season, we have Carey Price, Marc-Andre Fleury, Steve Mason, Roberto Luongo, a name that shall not be named, Jonas Corposalo.
Wait, who's the name who shall not be named?
No, it needs to be named.
Criminal.
You can't do that.
He's a criminal.
Well, name him anyways.
And Semyon Varlamov. Yeah.
Carter Hart.
Oh.
And Varlamov. Like, that's pretty damn good company.
We could throw Varlamov in like the we shouldn't talk. Fuck that guy, by the way.
Yeah, actually, Varlamov's a piece of shit too.
Yeah, he had a good. I miss it career-wise. He
bad
fine
guy.
Yeah, but
bad
like,
guy.
yeah,
very bad.
I don't know, dude. His ESPN commercial was lit.
That was
but he's still a piece of shit.
I take it back.
No, again, I think Jesper Wallstedt is awesome. I put him more because goalies scare the fuck out of me until I see them do some stuff in their mid-20s. I don't know what the fuck he is. That's why I can't reasonably put him at 1. Do I think
the volatility factor is scary. Yeah.
Well, and even like
my excitement factor, let's be clear, my excitement factor, I would put him number 1. Am I the most excited about the possibilities of this prospect? Yes. Do I think that he is my number 1? Like, I think he has the highest, like, I expect him to pan out this way. It's a goalie. I just can't confidently say it. I can't.
No, and I get that. It's just, I think the reason why we all put him at 1 is because like we haven't seen someone so young, like I said, check all the boxes, pass all the tests.
Hey, I have not said that I have any problem with you guys all putting him 1. I'm explaining why I put him 4.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem at 4 either, because the other thing is, we said this all the time on some of the Foghorn,
it's pretty
especially
fucking awesome if he's number 4, by the way. That's
pretty
fun.
Yeah, exactly. And we had a huge debate on our show about whether or not the Wild could draft Askarov the year that I think that was your they didn't take Goldie.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that goaltending is voodoo. Like it's so hard to be good year after year after year. I think Jay Fresh just like did like a I think he's doing like polls on like, okay, who do you think is the best goalie in the league? Yeah. And like Philip Gustafsson end of last year was like 9, and this year he was like, I think below 30. Like, and it's just like that can happen. Like very few, like there's maybe a couple right now, like Shesterkin, Hellebuck, and maybe like there might be 2 or 3 others that like consistently every year have been like a top 10 goaltender, but it fluctuates so much. But I think the best years of Wallstedt might surpass any best years we get from anyone else.
They absolutely
funny too.
I respect the volatility. I respect it because I've been giving him shit, and I knew he was going to salivate over this opportunity. But like, my
watch, Hoppy's going to interview him, and he's going to be number 1 in our midseason. I swear to God.
My top 3 are Buium, Yurov, and Height. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna like apologize that I think those 3 have a safer upside than Wallstedt. I'm not saying that they will be better. That's a safer upside in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and even like speaking to that point, to the volatility, like it factor like that happens with goalies in season where it's like Hellebuck was one of the greatest goalies we've ever seen in the regular season this year, and the playoffs. Oh my fucking God!
Shit
in other years, Winnipeg has been complete dog shit, and he's the only reason they've stretched a playoff series out to like 5 fucking games.
Totally.
So there you go. But my whole thing is just the fact that like any of the guys in that top 4, probably I could have put at number 1, but assuming they all hit, the most valuable player to me in my brain is Wallstedt, because if you don't have a guy in net, I think everyone else's skill set drops tenfold. Whereas if they don't, Wallstedt's proven for like 5 years playing pro hockey in Sweden that like he's still going to make all the saves. He will give you, he's proven that he's going to give you a chance to win pretty much every fucking night.
Sure. Is it safe for me to say then, Z, that your ranking of like Wallstedt being 1 is more about positional need for the organization versus like the actual rankings within the prospect pool? Like if you just looked at the Wild's prospect pool, there was no NHL team and you didn't know where spots needed to be filled, would that change your rankings at all? Maybe
no,
not.
I'm still taking Wallstedt.
I don't even think it's, for me, it's not even by
even
team,
when they
it's just
took
the
him,
position as a whole.
Yeah.
even when they took him, I've had him above Askarov.
You were pretty negative on Askarov, weren't you?
Not negative, but it was just like
he was
I
drafted
don't
too
know
high.
how you. Well, not even that. More like if you're gonna like look at goalies, I feel way fucking better about the play, like the style that a guy like Wallstedt plays.
Yes.
A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that I've had Tuukka Rask in Boston for fucking 15 fucking years, where it's just like,
Well, he sucks though, doesn't he? That's what fans say.
if you ask like 1 out of every 10 people, but like they're the loudest on Twitter, yeah,
It blows my mind. I am obsessed with Tuukka Rask, and it makes me so mad.
You can blame those. Everyone cover your. I won't actually say the word. The C-bombs at the Sports Hub Network. You can blame them. It's
but
crazy.
Tim Thomas, man, he's
Yeah. There you go. There's a scar. There you go. You can have a scar up that. But you just feel so much better about a guy like Wallstedt or a guy like Rask, where there's just like, yeah, every save they make does not look hard. That's
Right.
because they read the play and they're in the right position at the right time 90% of the time.
It's exactly what made Gustafsson the year he was potentially a Vezina finalist. Like that's how he was playing. Like he was just swallowing rebounds. There wasn't a lot of like desperation saves or flopping through the crease. Everything is technical. It's good angles. It's knowing when to come out, when to back up. It's like hockey IQ, but for goalies. Like he's just
the people that evaluate goalies that aren't actually like that didn't play. I'm like, you are. Every NHL team should be like begging you to come work for them if you're a very good like goalie. I don't know. It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
Scouting goaltending is insane to me because like
it's
you have
heavily
every
dependent
scout
on
in the
defense,
building
and
watching
it's hard
the
to
play,
separate the two.
and then you've got the person scouting goaltending where it's just like I will not move my eyes.
You could say it's truly smart scouting.
Well, hang on though. Let's as a group, show of hands. Raise your hand if you think Gustafsson is closer to what we saw this past season. Raise your hand. If you think he's closer to what we saw the previous season. All right, so we all don't want him to be traded.
No.
So wait.
Wait.
Wait. So this is what we mentioned a couple weeks ago on Judd'z Budz Hoppy. I am so curious to see if, because it's apparently still pretty open that the Wild are like, hey, we're still open for business. If someone wants to like,
But no one needs a goalie.
I think there are plenty of teams that are like, yeah, we don't love this situation that we got going on. Let's see what happens the first 15, 20 games. And they have so many fucking goalies under contract in Minnesota right now. So that's the other thing too.
Yeah. I don't know if you
I hate the idea of Wallstedt sitting in the fucking press box and watching games.
Yeah.
Okay, who do you want to play more than 50% of the games this year between Fleury and Wallstedt?
Well,
neither.
It won't be 50.
Okay, so there's my answer. Yeah, and I think Wallstedt and Gustafsson next year as a tandem sounds pretty awesome.
Very appealing. Oh yeah. I'm just wondering.
No.
I think they'll roll 3 goalies, but how they do it, I think, is to be seen. Like, is it going to be sending Jesper back and forth up and down 35, and then is it spot starts? Because I think
hate that.
He's not going to play much this year. I think we all just have to accept that, unless one goalie goes down like bad.
It could also just be in spurts, right, where he comes out for a road trip, plays 2 of the 4, and then goes back down, and then is down there for 10 or something, and then comes back up and plays 4 or whatever. Or is it the easy teams? I don't know. He's gonna play games. I would set the under over around 18. I think is a number I'd feel good
choose
with.
an
20.
under for sure. I'm like, if he plays 10, I would be surprised, to be honest.
I mean, barring injury, but yeah.
Well, that's like barring injury. Yeah,
I didn't think it's barring injury, but
I put the
he's
over
gonna
under
have to-
like 15.
he's going to have to earn some starts too over those other guys, but I don't think that's impossible.
I just think Guerin, like, he still just wants to win. He doesn't want to develop a goalie going up and down right now, especially since it's like, all right, Fleury's committed 1 more year. We're going with it.
Don't get it confused.
I think he
Aaron
is.
doesn't want to win.
I think-
Leopold wants to win.
Leopold, sorry.
But to Z's
I don't know.
point, you
Guerin
don't
wants
go
to
out and
win, too.
sign that many goalies if you don't have plans to carry 3 or trade one of them at some point.
I think they know that like having Wallstedt in the press box for like however many games in Minnesota just to like hang out and then get
It's
like
horrible.
a couple starts against dog shit
Yeah.
teams. That's fucking terrible. At that point, like, no. Like, just let him play a full. He's been every year. He's been the AHL. He's been an All-Star. Like, let him go do that. Like, fuck that.
Agreed.
Like,
I vote for that.
Yeah.
I vote for him,
especially
playing
if they suck.
Yeah, because at the same time, you don't want him playing games like against Dallas. Was he good in that game? No. But also, like, you were playing half an AHL team and they quit like 5 minutes into the game and just let him get shelled with no
Agreed.
defensive support whatsoever.
I am totally okay if he plays 90% of the season in the AHL.
As long as he's playing meaningful games, whether that's in the AHL or NHL, I don't really care where that is.
Yeah.